And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather Show. Another large flare happening there. Sunspot 3615. Already having mostly set here behind the western limb. Showing some activity. So we'll cover it to the extent that we have it. Here comes some fresh 24-hour videos for you. Pardon the screen cropping there. As we mess around with Zoom, sometimes we don't get exactly what we expect. These would be unrecoverable changes for today's video. So, again, pardon the slightly cropped screen there. It'll be back to its full screen delight tomorrow. These are 24-hour videos from Solar Dynamics Observatory. And we'll have to speed things up a little bit today as we are running a little bit late here on Saturday night. And guess what? Another coronal mass ejection is headed toward Earth. We can expect it to arrive sometime on April 2nd. April 2nd, CME impact is likely. Anyway, and we will show some more solar imagery here in a moment. That's our Twitch channel right there. We stream the GOES 16 SUVI 24/7 on the Twitch channel. Hey now. I said, that's better. Yeah, we stream the Twitch channel all the time, the GOES 16 SUVI. You can find it at smashomash.com/smashteam. And yeah, there you can see that CME popping off in the southwestern limb there, sunspot 3615, right on schedule there. That's what happens when you notice the channel's flare watch. So there's one of the moments of a nearly X-class event and a really cool flare there. It's started out impulsive looking, but it turned into a longer duration event with a missile-like projection happening there. So it looks like the sun just launched an interplanetary ballistic missile. And by the way, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to press the like button. If you're new to the channel, press subscribe. And there we go. That feels a little bit better. I think my coloration is a little bit less off. All right, that's fine. And of course, leave a comment also. Let us know how you found the channel, as we're surprised that you have. A surreal landscape continues in Iceland as the Sundnukar volcano continues to erupt, or Sundnukar, whatever it happens to be, but check it out. Just a cauldron of lava there boiling over as lava makes its way toward the sea. It's the gateway. The gateway to hell. The gateway where magma is upgraded to lava as it joins the terranean from the subterranean. Anyway, these are the other volcanoes that are going off. It looks like Askja could be ready to produce some activity there, as some earthquake swarming happening there. The largest being a 3.5 at only 5 kilometers estimated depth. Mount Ibu is also erupting in an explosive fashion. Also Semeru and Merapi. Those are all Indonesian volcanoes now headed to North America. Popocatépetl, Central America, Guatemala and Fuego. And South America, we've got Nevado del Ruiz and Sabancaya. A lot of earthquake activity also for the past 24 hours. There are the past 90 days. And we could be seeing some foreshock activity here. So if you're in an earthquake-prone zone, make sure you take heed to where the quakes have been occurring. Again, any earthquake can be a foreshock, folks. Look at all the quakes around the Pacific and the Pacific Rim, including a 5.8 near the Rat Islands. But let's start out the list here with this 5.1 at the East Pacific Rise. That was at 9:48 this morning. There's that 5.8 in the Aleutian Islands. That was at depth over 116 kilometers estimated depth. Then Tonga, only a few minutes later, had a 5.3 and then a 5.1. So look at all the quakes there around the Pacific Rim. Again, lots of quake activity. And we'll show some more solar imagery here. So there is our 304 angstroms wavelength from SDO. And that nearly X-class event there not quite showing up on the feed yet. So unfortunately you won't see it on that run. It's a little bit too early. It happened right as we were about to start making the video. There's the full disk view, and you may see a CME popping off from down here. That does have earthly directed components. We'll cover that as well. Again, likely to arrive sometime on April 2nd. April 2nd, CME impact expected. Not expecting a major impact, as most of the ejecta will miss to the southeast. We'll get back to show coronal holes, but first, the 10.7 centimeter radial flux is now all the way down to 140 solar flux units. Like I said yesterday, if you're spooked of low sunspots, well, now might be the time to enter the bunker. So if you're spooked of low sunspots, folks, yeah, you may be a cultist, and we would never encourage you to leave your cult. By all means, if you like your cult, stay in it. However, there is absolutely nothing dangerous about low sunspot numbers. As we approach solar maximum, there's nothing dangerous in any way about that. NOAA's not forecasting any geomagnetic storms yet. Give it until tomorrow. It will change its mind, as there, like I said, is a CME directed toward Earth. So it's not going to cause any major impacts, though. Only minor ones. We're seeing a minor coronal hole high-speed stream showing up as well. And let's see, does the ESA have that CME forecasted yet? Nope, it looks like it's a little bit too early for that also. So that was earlier this morning, not associated with that nearly X-class flare on the southwestern limb. Next Earth magnetic moment from space for the past 4 hours. There you go, there's our magneto-hydrodynamic pressure. And it looks like the ACE is back online. That's always a good thing. So there are the past 4 hours of Earth magnetic moment from space. Our geospace magnetosphere movie. Here are Earth magnetic 4 hours from the ground level. The last 4 hours of magnetic flux density there. And geospace delta B is a reference to the changes to Earth's B field, the field that goes through the magnet, this magnet being Earth. We are seeing a little bit of an uptick there in that activity. KP index is at 1, KP1, geomagnetically calm conditions. And check it out, the ACE is looking back like it's ready to go here. So, looking a little bit like a ramping up of a coronal hole high-speed stream based on that ramping up of the solar wind speed and the temperature. It's a weak coronal hole high-speed stream, and the Discover tends to agree there. Current conditions at the Discover, about 8.5 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind velocity, 420 kilometers per second. GOES magnetometers are next. They're located in a geosynchronous near equatorial orbit, near Earth's outer Van Allen belts. That's about 23,500 miles of altitude, if you're wondering. It's way out there in space. About twice the altitude of your GPS satellite. And it's pretty smooth there, as we haven't had geomagnetic storms. Now, Earth has recently moved into a South Pole magnetic sector, depicted here in red, and, yeah, that's where you can expect to be through tomorrow's daily space weather video as well, assuming nothing rapidly changes. But it looks like things are pretty steady there in the east. Here's our line of sight field plot. That's 4 days of data, and basically all of the sun's magnetism on the Earth side of the disk, all depicted, all from in one convenient location. Here's our line of sight coronal hole plot, and I have no comment, except it's time to view coronal holes from the perspective of SDO. So there you go. We've got quite a few. They are of South Pole orientation, I think. Yep. So these are north, and these are south. The sector boundary crossing is like this. And Earth is, again, in a South Pole sector here, where we can expect to stay at least through tomorrow. Now we'll show some more imagery here, and guess what? Sunspot number could drop to 0, folks. So again, if you're spooked of low sunspots, it may be bunker time for you. So make sure you let us know in the comments if you have decided to descend into your bunker. Or maybe ascend into your bunker. I don't know, but look at the sunspot number. Sunspot number here down below 50. So again, if you're scared of low sunspot numbers, folks, it is definitely bunker time. If you're afraid the Earth is going to suddenly freeze because of spooky, spooky low sunspot numbers, well, that's not the way the climate works by any stretch of the imagination. So let's just move on to our flare probability monitor and scoreboard. Look at that. It drops way down because sunspot 3615 goes out of sight. But as we say all the time on the channel, sunspots not in view are certainly capable of producing X-class flares, as that one almost has. It was an M9 plus. And here are sunspots from the ever-popular perspective of SDO. Again, sunspot number could drop to 0 by tomorrow's daily space weather video, so make sure you stay tuned for that. It'll definitely be bunker time. I'll put the word bunker in the thumbnail and title if we get to 0 sunspots, because there'll be a lot of spooked people scared for absolutely no good reason at all. So, many space weather channels have been criticized for their promotion of absolute and utter bollocks, otherwise known as pseudoscience. Shout out to Smash staff. If you know, you know. Next, energetic particles and flares. The proton flux is back to baseline levels following a little event there. Actually, the strongest event of solar cycle 25 occurred just about a week ago. But since then, things have calmed down. Now, we may see an SEP, but it looks like at the moment, not one very likely. So there's the past 6 hours, and you can see that flare was a M9.42, nearly an X-class event, and it had a very rapid onset and a slower diminishment, a slower downtick. So very impulsive at the beginning there, and then again a missile-like projection happening. Let's show a thing. Let's show that's a thing to show for sure. 94 angstroms. That works. There you go. And I can stay on screen. There's enough room for me down here. So, yeah, sunspot 3615 continues to produce nearly X-class events despite being completely out of sight from Earth. So there are the final views of it. And it has been an interesting sunspot indeed, producing, 2 X-class events, I believe, and many M-class events. Sunspot 3615, fare thee well, and don't forget to come rising up in the southeast in a couple of weeks. We've also got 131 angstroms. Splentacular imagery there from SDO. And let's pick things up here as we are really on a schedule, and we are behind schedule. So, solar system forecast is next. There's where things are today. There's where things will be in 1 week, something like that. The 5th, I don't know. There's 5 to 6 days, 7 days, whatever, however many days. There's what's going on overhead right now. That's our skyandtelescope.org star chart, the sun in a setting mode. And check it out. It's the Ptolemaic calendar, the Ptolemaic description of how eclipses happen. And check it out. They had, remember, Ptolemy was before a geocentric idea of how the solar system worked was gone. So the Ptolemaic calendar was shockingly accurate. And you can see here it's showing the moon, Mercury, Venus, the sun, then Mars, then Jupiter, Saturn, etc. The Ptolemaic calendar, folks. If you don't know about it, I don't know what to tell you. Learn about it on your own. This is the daily space weather. And you can see some halo-like CMEs happening. That's the CME that's headed in Earth's direction. It came out of the southeast earlier this morning, so you'll be able to see that on LASCO. See, let's just move in closer here. And we'll bring these back to show you kind of a slow motion view here. Again, it was early this morning. Let's break those out. So multiple events happening there. One of them is behind the limb, and there's another one on this side. And right there you can see a partial halo. That is an earthly directed CME. So we could see limb darkening there. It's the last bit there. So around 7, 8 o'clock this morning. 5 o'clock this morning. You can see that ejecta. Multiple events happening at the same time there, and one is on the Earth side. And we saw limb darkening all across the lower portion of the disk. So that's an earthly directed CME, again likely to arrive on April 2nd. We'll also show stereo A. There is where it's located. Feel free to pause the video on this frame if you're not familiar with that, with the locations of stereo A. And let's briefly rock that back also here. So here's a difference imagery. There it is this morning. Not super great looking, but yeah, it's earthly directed. I mean, what can I say? These are just facts. These are just facts, folks. So here is our custom coronagraph, all synced up with the LASCO C2 and C3 and the SDO. And you see a lot of ejecta. Again, most of that is on the far side, or at least southeast of Earth. But there is some ejecta there that is earthly directed. So always excited about that. For you Aurora chasers out there, you should have a little bit of luck on April 2nd. So it came from this area right down in here. And it's basically happening before that video because it's just about 24 full hours ago. But yeah, CMEs are headed our direction. And those are all from helioviewer.org, by the way, if you want to make your own coronagraphs. We'll close out on that one and then move to our bonus features and so forth. So filaments are next, and there are filaments at Cerro Tololo, and we've got a lot of filaments on the earth side of the disk. So hey, you could see more CMEs earthly directed. So check out that one in the south. That's, you could say it's two filaments, but it's at least one. It's called, we've named it. Follow the hashtag name that filament on Twitter. And again, there is that nearly X-class event there. Plasma doing a boomerang motion there. Check it out. Totally awesome. Plasma making like a 180 degree turn. Just amazing. And bonus features are next. Charging hazards are non-existent. The electron flux is up off the floor. There's the 1-year graph of the electron flux, and there's the forecast model, seeing a little bit higher levels than NOAA has forecasted. Here's the layer where it's measured, the F layer. It's the vibrational frequency in megahertz. So there it is, the F layer of the ionosphere, located at 300 kilometers of altitude. That's the bridge between Earth and space. Here is the anomalygram for that layer. Anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. And not half bad. Things are very normal in the ionosphere. There is absolutely nothing spooky to report on, so we apologize for this rift in the apocalypse. The apocalypse does not seem to be moving forward as many have forecasted. So anyway, here is our global ionosphere nowcast, or WHAM, the whole atmosphere model. And here are the last portions of the space weather portion of the video, the latest intensitygram and latest magnetogram. So these new groups over here, well, there's one new sunspot there, so it looks like sunspot number is not going to drop down to 0, but it could get close, and that could spook people. So again, let us know if you've decided to enter the bunker because of low sunspot numbers. Here comes our meteorology segment, starting out with total cloud, water, and surface level winds. So we've got quite a bit of, it's the tale of 3 lows, folks. There are 3 lows surrounding North America right now, which we will cover here momentarily. But first, the surface winds and jet streams of the planet. Surface winds of the east and the jet streams. Surface winds of the, or jet streams of the central world and the surface winds. Surface winds of the west and the western jet streams. And folks, remember, it is the year of the dragon. So remember, consumer tip, never try to sneak up on a dragon in its own lair. You will not surprise it, and that will be a thing. Anyway, here's satellite imagery, and thanks to Smash staff for letting me know how late I'm really running. It's extremely late, so we'll be picking up speed even more here. That's the visible satellite from the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite. Here is our pressure map, and look, it's a tale of 3 lows, as I said. 3 lows there. One at Alaska, that's the strongest. One at Nova Scotia, between Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, that's the second strongest. And one off the coast of Southern California, that is not as strong as the others. Here's our weather.gov map, weather.gov, to get your weather warnings. That is where the warnings are being warned at. Those are the warnings, and Alaska is full of them. And here come 0 forecast. Okay, we'll do 1 forecast. Pressure and precipitation for the lower 48 is all you get today because, again, very late. Very late. So there you go. Pressure and precipitation for the next 72 hours. GFS model will also show lightning. That's lightning and cloud cover. South America's got quite a bit. Shout out to our viewers from all around the planet. Make sure you leave a comment if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to press the subscribe button. We've got some thunderstorms happening. We've got some severe thunderstorm warnings in Ohio, and there are indeed some lightning strikes happening there. Next is our radar.weather.gov map, radar.weather.gov. We'll fixate on the lower 48. Here is satellite. There is water vapor. Here's our recap. U.S. Doppler radars first. Visible satellite. And water vapor. And here's me signing off. Thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network, least busted name of news. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash and Mash. And until tomorrow, may that solar wind be at your back.